The NES gave us some of the most influential games ever made. Choosing only 10 wasn't easy, but these are the 10 NES games I keep coming back to. The first Castlevania game celebrates its 40th anniversary this year. Players control the iconic hero, Simon Belmont, on his quest to vanquish Count Dracula and free Transylvania from his evil reign. The player wields Simon's whip, dubbed Vampire Killer, against a host of enemies such as bats, skeletons, zombies, and mermen. Castlevania's dark, moody color palette is perfectly married with one of the greatest NES soundtracks to create a gothic horror tone that is synonymous with the Castlevania series. Enemies and bosses are inspired by the Universal Monster movies, Ray Harryhausen films, and Nosferatu. Castlevania is one of my top 10 favorite NES games. This game laid the foundation for one of gaming's most influential franchises. Excitebike was one of the launch titles for the NES, and the first racing game I ever played. The game engine for Excitebike was later used to develop Super Mario Bros. The game's 5 main tracks contain a mix of obstacles including grass patches, mud pits, speed bumps, dirt piles, and jumps. Races can be completed either solo or against computer-controlled opponents. Excitebike was the first game with a track editor, elevating it to legendary status. Excitebike is a game I keep coming back to. It's as fun to play today as it was when I was a kid. Unlike other beat-em-ups of the time, River City Ransom offers players open-world exploration and character progression. Players earn money from defeating enemies to purchase food, drinks, books, shoes, and gear that boost stats like strength, agility, and stamina. The game has a variety of weapons like chains, pipes, and trash cans. River City Ransom also has a comedic tone where defeated enemies deliver funny punchlines like "barf." It also has one of the best 2-player co-op modes on the NES. River City Ransom inspired modern titles like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and River City Girls. It offers depth rarely seen in 8-bit brawlers and is one of the truly great NES games. The original Japanese sequel to Super Mario Bros. Was deemed too difficult for American audiences. Therefore, Nintendo released the American version of Super Mario Bros. 2 as a revision of the Famicom game Doki Doki Panic. As a kid, the game felt curiously out of place compared to the original Super Mario Bros. However, it wasn't until I played the Lost levels, included on the Super Mario All-Stars compilation on the Super Nintendo, that I realized why. I loved the inclusion of 4 playable characters, each with unique abilities. Luigi's high jump, Toad's speed, and Peach's floating glide. Super Mario Bros. 2 dared to be different, and that difference is exactly what made it unforgettable. Released in 1989 by Capcom, DuckTales set a new standard for licensed video games on the NES. The game is widely beloved for its nonlinear gameplay, tight controls, colorful graphics, and memorable music. Players are given the ability to play the 5 levels in any order, an innovative game design mechanic for its time. My favorite level is the Moon Stage. The iconic Moon theme is one of the premier NES music tracks, an 8-bit masterpiece, and one of my favorite video game themes ever. DuckTales is one of the best NES platformers that doesn't star Mario. The Legend of DuckTales endures on as one of the truly top-tier NES games. Contra was one of the first run-and-gun games I ever played. This legendary classic was one of the defining games of the entire 8-bit generation. Contra popularized the Konami code. In PAL regions, the NES version of Contra was retitled Probotector. where human enemies were replaced with enemy robots due to censorship laws. Contra's gameplay is fast and intense, and the game has epic boss battles and a stellar two-player cooperative mode. Its lasting influence can be seen in modern titles like Blazing Chrome, Huntdown, Broforce, Gunlord, and Cuphead. Contra will always be one of my favorite NES games, and all these years later, Contra still kicks ass! Mega Man 2 has always been my favorite Mega Man game. It built on the success of the first game by introducing the Energy Tank, a health item that fully restores Mega Man's health. Mega Man 2 also added a password system and a difficulty select screen. Mega Man 2 has detailed sprites, tight controls, great level design, and one of the greatest 8-bit soundtracks ever composed. The game was released on modern platforms as part of the Mega Man Legacy Collection, complete with save states and rewinds. Mega Man 2 was also one of the games featured in the 1989 film The Wizard. The Blue Bomber is a badass, and Mega Man 2 is his finest outing. It remains one of the best NES games, and one of the defining games of the 1980s. The Legend of Zelda is the first video game that made me feel like I was truly embarking on an adventure. As one of the earliest open-world games, The Legend of Zelda's non-linear exploration was groundbreaking. Unlike many games of its time, The Legend of Zelda provided players with no explicit guidance, instead bestowing upon them the freedom to walk the path they choose. The game's iconic main theme is one of the most instantly recognizable pieces of video game music, evoking a sense of nostalgia and adventure. In 1986, a gold cartridge changed what video games could be. It was the first video game to feature a battery-powered save function, allowing players to save their progress and return to their journey later. This innovation had a huge impact on the video game industry, setting a new standard for future games. The Legend of Zelda is an important milestone in video game history, revolutionary for its time. It launched one of the most influential game franchises of all time, inspiring countless sequels and spin-offs that have captivated generations of players. Super Mario Bros. Is the game that made me a gamer. The video game crash in 1983 resulted in the North American video game market losing billions of dollars. Many analysts wrote video games off as some fad. Released in Japan 2 months before I was born, Super Mario Bros. Was instrumental in the NES's success and played a pivotal role in reviving the North American video game market. Super Mario Bros. Was a cultural phenomenon, the game that launched a generation of gamers. The main theme, or ground theme, is one of the most instantly recognizable video game themes ever. In 2023, the Library of Congress's National Recording Registry inducted the ground theme, making it the first video game theme ever included. Super Mario Bros. Established a new era of gaming. 40 years later, Super Mario Bros. Is still one of the greatest and most significant video games ever made. Before I reveal number 1, here are some honorable mentions. I remember being amazed as a kid about the graphical improvements from Super Mario Bros. To Super Mario Bros. 3. Mario is my favorite video game character, and this game is one of his best. Super Mario Bros. 3 introduced the overworld map, airships, Toad's houses, and the Koopalings as reoccurring antagonists, all of which have become franchise staples. The Super Leaf power-up meant that Mario wasn't just running and jumping. He'd achieved flight. Super Mario Bros. 3 features 8 distinct themed worlds. The second world, Desert, is one of the most memorable levels for me. It features the infamous Angry Sun. In 2007, the game's cultural significance was recognized when it was submitted for inclusion to the Library of Congress as one of the 10 most important video games of all time. 18 years later, nothing has changed. Super Mario Bros. 3 redefined the platforming genre and the Mario franchise, establishing itself as unquestionably one of the finest video games ever made. What are your top 10 NES games? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to check out this playlist covering some of my favorite video games from my childhood. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Voiceover Gamer.